Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on remote data access. So this was formerly known as Sage Drive. Today we're going to learn about how remote data access works and how to set it up. So we're not going to be doing any troubleshooting today. We're just going to be focusing on introduction to the feature. My name is Abby and I'm going to be your host today. And also it is just me on today's session, so I will also be answering your questions. So please do keep them coming throughout the session and I will pick these up. So just before we start the session, just want to cover some housekeeping. So what you will see is when you join, you will be placed on mute automatically and you will not be able to unmute yourself. If you want to download today's handout, sorry, let's start with how you ask questions. Apologies there. So if you want to ask any questions, you can use the questions panel, and it's just that icon with the speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. That'll open up the questions panel, and you can send your questions across to me. If you do want to download today's handout, it's just that icon. It looks like a little document with a folded corner. And I would recommend to download this. It has got some helpful links to our help centre. Just a reminder, just like every one of our webinars, this webinar is going to be recorded. The recording link is going to be included in your follow-up email. So keep an eye out for that. Alongside the link to the recording, you'll also get links to future webinars. And also as well, you'll have a link to our recordings page as well. Okay, so let's cover let's look at what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to be looking at what is remote data access, RDA requirements, things to consider. We're going to go through some scenarios and then we'll look at some video demonstration on how to set up remote data access. And then towards the end, we'll look at FAQs and a summary. So don't worry if you can't quite follow along with the videos live setting it up yourself. You are, like I say, you are going to be able to watch that recording where it will include those videos as well. Now I just want to launch a poll on your screen there. And I just wanting to know, do you currently use remote data access? So 3 answers. So you've got yes, no, I choose not to, or no, I don't know what it is. So if you can just pop your answer in there for me. We usually wait till we get around 75%. And then what I'll do is I'll share those results with you as well. So if you can pop a vote in there for me, and then I'll share those results. You can see those votes are coming in quickly. We've got just under half. So if you want to pop your votes in there for me. We'll wait just a little bit longer. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll end the poll at that point and I'll share the results. So as you can see, we've got 33% of you are currently using remote data access and 67% of you no, I choose not to. So hopefully by the end of today's session, we'll be able to change your mind on that one. Okay, so close the poll. And we'll move on to connected services. So to use any of the apps and add-ons within your Sage 50 account software, you must have a Sage account linked to your company. So the Sage account will get you access to Sage Copilot, Invoice Finance, Invoice Payments, AI document capture, bank feeds, remote data access, Satago, but also as well, if you have access, you access the your MySage invoices, you might also have a Sage account for MySage. Today we're going to focus on remote data access, but if you want to find out more about these apps and add-ons, then you can find those in your software, and it's just in the top left, just below the home in your navigation bar down the side of your software. So if you've already got a Sage account for one of these other these options, then you can use the same account for remote data access. Now, there's often a lot of confusion between your Sage account and when you'll use it and when you'll just log on with a username and password. So the option on the left, which is where you're going to be asked for an email address and password combination. So this is the Sage account window. So this is where you'll see this option if you're logging into MySage to access your Sage invoices. If you are to authenticate or re-authenticate any apps and add-ons in the software, or you will, if you're logging into the software, only if you're using Sage Copilot. If you're not using Sage Copilot, you will only use your Sage account to re-authenticate any apps and add-ons. To log in normally, you will see the window on the right, which is a logon name and password. Okay, so just to recap, left is only when you need to re-authenticate or see invoices, or if you're logging in because you're using Copilot. If you're not using Copilot, then you will log in normally, and you'll only have to enter your email address and password combination if you need to re-authenticate for a remote data access. If we're talking about this particular add-on. It may be if your your internet is dropped or anything like that, you may need to re-authenticate. Or if the background token for remote data access has expired, then it may just get you to re-authenticate for that. But again, it's few and far between if you're just using remote data access. So what is remote data access? So remote data access was formerly known as Sage Drive. And this feature has been available since, I think it was introduced in about version 21, but it's now known as Remote Data Access, or we call it RDA for short. So this feature enables you to share your data securely via the cloud, giving you and other users freedom to work anywhere with an internet connection and Sage 50 Sage 50 accounts installed on each computer. So to have access to remote data access, you must be on version 27 or above. All variants do have access, so whether you're on Essentials, Standard or Professional, you will have access to remote data access, and it is included in your subscription. Now, one very clear point I want to make is that RDA does not permanently store your data, and you must still take regular backups. It's a big misconception that your data is permanently stored in the cloud, and that is not the case. It will store it temporarily to be able to sync it between locations. So you do need to be making sure it's your responsibility to be able to be remembering to take regular backups of your data in case you may need to restore or recover your data. So we'll go through the requirements. So as I've already mentioned, you need to be on version 27 or above. Your software needs to be installed locally on each machine. All users must be on the same version and build. So if you're wanting to find that out in each of your, if you might be installing on new machines, so but you've already got it installed on the original machine, you can go to help in your software and then into about. You will find your version number in the top left. If you are installing on new machines, so maybe that you've got some new laptops for people to use on the go, then you may need to, obviously install locally on each machine. So then you'll need the license information. So you will find that also in your help and about page. And that one is in the middle column at the top. All computers must meet system requirements. And you do require a minimum internet speed of, let's try and get this out without tripping up, 4 Mbps download and 2 Mbps upload. Now, for the best results, we do recommend that you are using a wired connection where possible. Obviously, that isn't always the case, but if it is, for a more stable connection, then that's what we do recommend. And lastly, you do also need a Sage account as well. In the top right, I've provided a guide which tells you all about the RDA requirements that I've just gone through, but also have pulled out the speed test as well. Speed test will need to be done at each site that you plan on using Sage at if you're using it via remote data access. Okay, so things to consider before you start using remote data access. You want to be checking the volume of your data. So this isn't necessarily just a remote data access thing. You do want to be genuinely checking the volume of your data, because the more data you have, if you go above what we recommend, then you will see a slower performance. So that is a general rule, but we do also recommend checking the data before using remote data access as well. And you can do this by going to help and then into about again, and then under the data information section. The main thing you want to be checking is the number of splits that you have. So the number of splits are the number of transactions you have, so each line in the transactions module. We recommend typically that you have fewer than 250,000 splits. You also want to be checking the number of invoices and orders and other records as well. Now, in the bottom right there, I have included a link for data limits. Check that out. That will give you the recommended numbers. Now, if you go past these numbers, the software is not going to just stop working and it won't let you process anymore. It will let you continue to process, but obviously that's where you will see, things slow down if there's more data in there, if you try to filter and things like that. Next, you want to make sure that you're checking those internet speeds at each individual site. Rule of thumb, you are only as strong as your weakest connection. And lastly, you want to be taking regular backups of your data as well. Again, I've done the backup sessions. I've worked on customer service myself. I've been in that position where I've spoke to a customer and they have, called us and they don't have a backup to get it, to restore. They might have processed something incorrectly and they can't go back. That's why we really stress about taking regular backups of your data. Lastly, majority of your data will sync, but there are a few things that don't, such as archives, memo attachments, and standard layouts. The reason standard layouts don't sync as well is because everyone's got a copy of standard layouts on their software. And the only time it may sync is if you have renamed a layout, a customized layout or report, and renamed it to the same as a standard. Such as, people tend to customize the goods delivery note, and that will not sync and will have to be shared manually. But if you do require any more information, again, in the bottom right, you've got the which files sync guide there as well, if you want to check that out after the session has ended. Okay, so let's have a look at some scenarios. So prior to using remote data access, you might be in this position right now. You may have shared your data with your accountant, for example, and it may look a little something like this. So Joe is in his office. He would process invoices. He would then take a backup, pop it on a USB stick, pop along to the accountants with the USB stick. Sarah would then take that USB stick, restore the backup into her own copy of the software, process the relevant adjustments. That and that might take a couple of days, a day. Now, whilst all of that's going on, Joe would not be able to process anything until he gets because the reason for that is because when he gets the backup from Sarah, if he was to process anything, it would be overwritten by Sarah's backup. Now, using remote data access allows you to work concurrently without that back and forth, one processing then the other. So let's take a look at some common scenarios. So here, this is the same scenario as the manual data sharing. So Joe's in the office and his accountant is external in her own office, and they're using remote data access. Joe can continue processing those invoices or payments or receipts whilst his accountant is adding those adjustments. Now, if you do have a one user license, as long as you have set up your accountant or bookkeeper with the right user type, they do not count towards your users logged in. If you do pop them in as a normal user and you only have a one user license, it will not allow you to work concurrently. Again, if you do have multiple users that aren't accountants and you still only have a one user license, you will not be able to work concurrently. So you will need to upgrade your license to allow you to have more users. But again, if you have an accountant or bookkeeper, as long as you set them up as the right user type, they won't count towards that. Okay, so here's another scenario. So let's just say Joe has a one user license. He has a computer in the office and a laptop or computer at home. Instead of taking that back up in the office and carrying the USB stick home, restoring it into the computer at home, you can have Sage also installed on a second machine, and using the remote data access, all he has to do is log into his data at home, and everything that is being processed in the office will then synchronize to his home computer and vice versa. So this is scenario 3. So you might have a scenario where you have one person in the office, one person at home, and another in a different location. So each person in this situation is classed as a remote site. But bigger processes such as year-end or clear audit trail can be done at any location as long as you're on version 28 and above. Version 27, if you're still on that version, you have main and remote. So only big processes can be done at the main site, but version 28 and above, that doesn't matter. You can do those big processes anywhere. If you currently only have a one user license, but like I say, you want more people to work concurrently, I didn't mention this before, you can just contact our support team and they'll be able to support you with that. Okay, so let's have a look at our last scenario before we move on to some video demonstration. So here in scenario 4, you have a server involved. So you can use remote data access alongside a server. So in this example, you have Joe and Marie in the office and they are working from the server. Now you can have remote data access set up in the office with the server as well, but what it would be is they would be classed as one site, one location. So although they are two separate users using their own machines, but because they're working from the same data location, i.e. on the server, they class as that one site. So if you do have a server set up, then we would recommend to set this up, remote data access up from that location first, and then set up the other users. You would only actually set up remote data access up on Joe and Marie on their user profiles if they had a, they would work away from the main location. So if they go off site or if they do work from home occasionally, then you would need to do that. But if they don't and they just primarily work in the office, then you would need to set up their profiles with remote data access. Okay, so what I will say as well is if you do have a server, it's not to replace a remote data access isn't to replace a server. We always do recommend to have a server set up where you can. Okay, so let's go through some video demonstrations. So we're going to go through setting up remote data access. We're going to then add additional users and then a video on how that user that you've set up would then connect remotely. Okay, so first we're going to set up remote data access from Joe's location. So we'll have a look at the first video demonstration. Again, we haven't had any questions come through as of yet, so please do pop them through if you do have any, and I will be here to answer them for you.
Once you've checked the system requirements and internet speeds of all required machines, you can set up remote data access. Log in as manager and check your software version by going to Help, then About. The version number is listed in the Program Details area, and all users must have the same version installed. Next, you should take a backup. To do this, open the File menu and click Backup. Select the files that you want to back up, amend the file name and choose the location by clicking Browse. To continue, click OK. A check data prompt will appear. We recommend that you do this every time. If any errors are reported, these must be fixed before you continue. To continue with the remote data access setup, you must link a Sage account to the company. To do this, navigate to Settings, User Management, and click Users. Manager will be highlighted by default, then click Edit. If remote data access has been set up in the past, Allow Remote Data Access checkbox will be available to select. If not, click Get Started Now with your Sage account. To find out more, click here. To continue with the setup, click Continue. Enter the name of the person who is going to be the data owner, preferably someone in a permanent position within the company. Additional information is available here. Once completed, click to confirm you are the right person. Next, check your company details. All mandatory information is marked with an asterisk. To continue, click here. Next, log into your Sage account. If you already have a Sage login, enter the details here and click Login. If you don't have one, create a new account using the link provided. Enter the email address you want to be assigned to the manager user, the name of the person you have assigned the data owner, and a password. Once you are happy with the information entered, click Sign Up. You'll receive a 6-digit code to your email. You can enter this here. Your Sage account is now connected. To close this message, click here. The Remote Data Access checkbox is now available to select. To complete the setup, select Allow the Remote Data Access checkbox and click Continue. You're then prompted to create an encryption passphrase. This is an extra layer of security, and all remote users will need this information when attempting to connect to your data. The passphrase must include a capital letter, a lowercase letter, and must be a minimum of 15 characters. To view the passcode at any time, follow the steps provided here. To complete the process and upload your data to the cloud, click Save. How long this will take will depend on the size of your data and internet speed. Once complete, Remote Data Access appears on your status bar.
Okay, so now we've linked a Sage account to the company and uploaded the data. So now remote data access is set up, and any changes Joe makes, from his Sage software will then sync to the cloud, and any changes made by other users once set up will now reflect on Joe's machine. So now we're going to demonstrate how to give remote data access to Louise's record. So we'll play the next video demonstration. Again, if you do have any questions, do pop them through for me.
In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to add remote data access users. To get started, log in as manager. From the settings menu, choose User Management, then click Users. You can add remote data access to an existing user, or if the user does not appear on your list, you can set up a new one. For the purpose of this demonstration, we'll edit an existing user. Highlight the relevant one on the list and click Edit. Navigate to Remote Data Access and select the checkbox to allow remote data access. Enter the required details for your user. Please note, a unique email address must be entered for each user. To move on to the next step, click Continue. When the summary page appears, check the information is correct, then click Save. An email is automatically sent to the email address entered. This contains a step-by-step guide on how to connect your Sage 50 accounts data remotely. You must provide all remote data access users with the passphrase that you created when you set up remote data access. For security purposes, you must send this separately.
Okay, so now you can see how quick and easy it is to add remote data access to a user record. So now as Louise, we want to download that company to our machine. So let's take a look at the last video demonstration on how to download a company or connect remotely.
We'll now demonstrate how to connect to Sage 50 accounts using remote data access. Before attempting to connect to your data remotely, ensure you have the relevant information to hand. You'll need your user logon name and password, the email address that has been applied to your user record, and the encryption passphrase. To connect remotely, open Sage 50 accounts and then click Add Company. Next, you'll see 4 setup options. Click Download. If you wish to change the location your data is saved to, click Change and follow the on-screen steps. To move on to the next step, click Continue. You are then presented with a set of instructions explaining the next steps. Click OK and log into your Sage account. If you don't have one, simply click to create an account and follow the prompts. Once logged in, you'll see the companies associated with your Sage account with more information about each one, such as the version of the data, who the data owner is, and if required, use the icon to view the company ID, which you can cross-reference with other users to check that it is the right version to download. Select the company you'd like to connect to, then click Next. Enter the encryption passphrase and click Continue. Finally, click Download. A progress bar appears while a copy of your Sage account's data downloads to your computer. Once complete, you'll be prompted to log in to Sage accounts using your logon name and password. Once you are logged in, your remote data access status is confirmed in the status bar along the bottom. Sage 50 accounts is now connected using remote data access, and you can now start the process as usual.
Okay, so once the company is downloaded, Louise can then log in and start the process and make any changes straight away, and it will then sync those changes back up to the cloud to reflect on Joe's machine. So that is remote data access broken down into 3 steps: upload, add access, and connecting remotely. If you wish to rewatch the videos that we've shown today, again, they're going to be in your recording, so don't worry if if you've been making notes or you haven't been able to follow in real time. You'll be able to do that at your own leisure. But also as well, there's loads of guides on our help centre to support you with that process as well. Okay, so just before we go to FAQs, if you have any burning questions, pop them in now as we start to wrap up the session. If you're not sure how to ask your question, it's just the little speech bubble icon with the question mark in the middle to send your questions across to me. Okay, so we'll just go through some FAQs. So the first question, so will the data be stored in the cloud? So I did mention this towards the beginning of the session. It is only temporarily stored there, so it can sync between different locations. You must remember to take regular backups of your data. Can I use this on a tablet? So no, you must have a copy of the Sage 50 accounts installed on a compatible machine. And kind of mentioned this, I brushed over it but just before, so can I use RGA to replace my server? So we recommend to use a server connection when possible, as this will be quicker. You can still use RGA alongside the server for those in other locations. So this this feature here isn't necessarily going to benefit everybody. It might be the case of, you live in a quite rural area, the internet connection isn't great, but it was really commonly used during COVID, during lockdown when people were working from home, and you might still have hybrid working. So it's a case of it might be that you're still using this and you might want to, if we're having bad weather, we've just had a bit of snow recently, it might be over the Christmas period, some people might be working from home, or especially in January, February time when the weather gets a bit worse, that option is there to have your people still working. Okay, so to summarize, so it enables you to access your data from any location with an internet connection and software installed locally on each PC. All variants have access to this feature. It is included in your subscription. Each user must have a unique email address, and you want to ensure that you are taking regular backups of your data. So again, down the right-hand side, I've provided sage.co.uk/help. I've provided information for the Remote Data Access Hub and also backing up your data as well. Okay, so just had a question coming there. So versions will be an issue for accountants, as we always have the latest version, but not all clients are on the same one. If you are an accountant, you should have an accountant's license, so a client manager license where you do have access to multiple versions. So then you can accommodate all of your clients. So then you would have a version for each one, obviously depending on the build. I can see where that might fall into a bit of a grey area. But you, like I say, if you have clients, they should all be on the latest version of that current version that they're on. But I do understand that statement there. Okay, so if anybody can get the last of their questions in for me, just before we wrap up the session. Don't think there's anything else coming through. No. My screen stopped sharing there. Bear with me a moment. Okay, so what I'll do is I will wrap this session up. See if there's any more questions come through. Nothing as of yet. So yes, I will start to wrap the session up. If you have got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive that email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Upon exiting the session, you will see a survey at the end. That survey is how I've done, what you liked about the webinar, what you didn't like. There are also some questions about Sage in general, but please do let me know any feedback. Pop any comments on there for me. I would really appreciate that. You know, how I can improve these future sessions as well. Okay, so no further questions have come through, so I will give you some time back today. I want to say thank you to you all for your participation today. And just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.